My former middle school classmates are disappointing. It was the day of our high school reunion, and this was my first time attending since I had dropped out of high school. After dropping out, I did not continue my education, so my highest level of education was middle school. That's when Thomas, with whom I had a troubled relationship since our school days, insulted me. He did not seem to know that I was the CEO of a company with an annual revenue of $500 million. I told him that we would not see each other again after that day. Apparently, this remark bothered Thomas, and he spilled the contents of his glass on my suit. It was clear that staying any longer would make it impossible for me to enjoy the day, so I decided to leave. Thomas called after me, telling me to hurry up and leave, saying I had no courage. When I told him that I was the CEO of Sunshine Real Estate, he seemed surprised. I'm Justin Moore, a 40-year-old man. My life was challenging during my school days, but now I can live a more fulfilling life. I grew up in a family of 4, including my parents and my younger sister Mary. My parents had a good relationship, and my sister often relied on me or my parents when she needed support. As Mary reached middle school, she started to mature and see things more objectively. She could sense the family's atmosphere more acutely than I could. One day, she cryptically asked me if I had noticed something. But when I inquired, she teased me, saying it might be better if I didn't know. Your father was likely having an affair, as your sister Mary had revealed. Your mother was struggling to cope with it, though she tried to hide it from you both. When you questioned Mary about it, she assured you that she was not joking. 2 years later, just as Mary had predicted, your parents divorced. Your mother took you and Mary in, while your father quit his job and failed to provide the promised child support. This forced your mother to work hard to support the family, and you had to take on part-time jobs while in high school to contribute. Shortly after you started your sophomore year, your mother fell ill and was hospitalized, leading to another difficult situation for your family. My father was unreachable, and our family's savings were dwindling. It seemed like our mother would be hospitalized for a long time, and we couldn't let her overexert herself once she was discharged. Considering my sister Mary, who had just started high school, I realized I needed to be the one to work. Looking back, I now see there may have been other options, but as a desperate high school student, I couldn't think of any alternatives. One day after school, while everyone else was heading home, I stayed behind on the classroom balcony, leaning on my elbows, contemplating the future. I had already discussed dropping out of school to work with my mother and teachers. They tried to dissuade me, but my decision was firm. I hadn't fully explained it to Mary yet, but I knew I needed to tell her. Suddenly, a voice called out, "Justin, you're not going home yet." It was my classmate, Thomas. "Oh, just thinking about some things, really," I replied. Thomas asked if I was worried about something, maybe a relationship issue, which surprised me since we hadn't talked much before. I said it wasn't a worry anymore, and that I had made up my mind about something. Thomas seemed confused and asked if I was going to drop out of school and work instead. I was surprised he knew about this and asked if he had heard it from a teacher, but he said he had overheard a previous conversation. I asked him to keep it a secret, as I wanted to avoid rumors and tell everyone myself. Thomas agreed not to spread the information, though he seemed amused. I thanked him, but expressed concern that dropping out would mean my highest level of education would only be middle school. Thomas claimed that without a college or vocational school education, a GED would be equivalent to a middle school diploma. The narrator trusted him and asked if Thomas was worried about them. However, Thomas' next words changed the narrator's perception, as he said the narrator didn't understand the situation. Thomas explained that the narrator's family circumstances, such as a single-parent household, a sick mother, and a sibling to care for, would make it very difficult for the narrator to return to school if they dropped out now. The narrator acknowledged that Thomas knew about their personal situation, but the narrator felt they had already accepted the reality. Thomas then insisted the narrator was lying and could not think like an adult because the human brain doesn't fully mature until around 30 years old. I understand. I asked him, feeling annoyed, "What are you trying to say?" Thomas responded harshly, saying that even though I'm still immature, I should stay focused. He said he doesn't know my situation, but if I quit now, He'll keep mocking me forever. He advised me to find my father and let him take care of me. His words were really irritating. I told him it's fine. This is my only choice, and I don't want to see my father right now. I tried to end the conversation by asking him to leave me alone. He said that's fine. He's warned me, and the rest is up to me. Then he left. Later, my sister Mary asked me if Thomas is a friend. I told her he's just a classmate, not really a close friend. Even though I answered her bluntly, Mary kept talking. She said that on her way home, that guy had harassed her. I asked her why, feeling concerned. Your brother is dropping out of school and will only have a middle school education, Mary explained, clearly distressed. The incident was unbelievable to me. Mary then said she was already annoyed, but the person suddenly approached her and demanded that she go out with him, threatening to make fun of her brother if she refused. Mary firmly refused, finding the person's behavior creepy and infuriating. I felt relieved to hear her account and advised her to stay away from that person. The next day, I confronted Thomas about what Mary had told me, and he responded defensively, questioning whether he needed my permission to talk to my sister. This person is frustrated with someone who constantly irritates them. The other person claims they were just trying to warn the person because someone else was upset. The person accuses the other of being overprotective or having a sibling complex, suggesting the other person's actions were driven by their feelings for their sibling. The two then argue about something the other person said in the past. In the end, the person dropped out of high school and has avoided their high school reunion, but now feels nervous about attending it after all these years. I was finally able to relieve the heavy burden I had carried for 20 years. When I arrived at the event and started talking to my former classmates, they warmly welcomed me, noting it had been a long time. At our age, simply reuniting was a joyful experience, and I felt refreshed as I caught up with them. After a while, I went to get a drink, and a voice from behind me called out, "Is that you, Justin?" The sound reminded me of something unpleasant, but I turned around calmly. Sure enough, it was Thomas, who had matured but was still recognizable. I responded calmly to his rude comments, explaining that this was my first time attending the reunion. He seemed to assume I was too ashamed to come before, but that wasn't the case. I tried to laugh it off, thinking he was just greeting me in his usual harsh manner. However, his words became more hostile, calling me a middle school dropout and saying I'm a disgrace to our classmates. He didn't realize that I am the successful CEO of a major company. I told him to stop his childish behavior, but he insisted we wouldn't see each other again after today. He then mocked my expensive suit, implying I had worked hard just to afford it for the reunion. I did not make a custom-made suit that cost a lot, but I trusted the person who made it. The other person poured their drink on my suit, which made me feel disrespected, not just for myself, but also for the person who created the suit. I decided to leave the situation, and the other person asked what I do for a living. I told them I'm the CEO of Sunshine Real Estate, which they found impressive. With that, I turned my back on him and left the venue, hearing Thomas's laughter behind me. At the start of the week, I was in the CEO's office of North Real Estate. It might seem miraculous for someone with just a middle school education to become the CEO of a large company, but in this industry, it's not impossible. Since joining this company, I've worked tirelessly, reading every book I could find on management and economics. I also made it a point to learn everything I could from my colleagues, business partners, and clients. As a result, my performance improved, and I started gaining the attention of the higher-ups. After climbing the corporate ladder, I was appointed CEO following the retirement of the former president. North Real Estate has several subsidiaries and franchises, with last year's annual revenue hitting $500 million. While there are bigger players out there, and catching up to them is still a distant goal, if I keep pushing forward, it's not impossible. Sunshine Real Estate is one of our subsidiaries, with North Real Estate holding most of its shares. In other words, Sunshine Real Estate could be shut down at our discretion. Thomas must know this, but he has no idea that I'm the CEO of that company. But that's understandable. I was just appointed CEO at the beginning of this month, and I haven't yet met the CEOs of our subsidiaries. Before that, I had no opportunity to run into Thomas. Moreover, I haven't uploaded a photo to the website yet. For Thomas to realize it's me, he would have to connect the name Justin Moore with the new CEO. However, Thomas would never imagine that a high school dropout like me could become the CEO of the parent company. He probably thought it was just a coincidence or forgot my name altogether. Thinking about this, I called Vice President Linda Williams into my office to discuss Sunshine Real Estate's performance. Linda, who is slightly younger than me, is a diligent and straightforward person. She was promoted to VP at the same time I became CEO. We sat facing each other in my office, and I brought up the topic right away. Linda, what do you think about Sunshine Real Estate? I was already considering restructuring Sunshine Real Estate, but I wanted to hear her honest opinion without knowing my intentions. About Sunshine Real Estate? May I speak frankly? Of course. I prefer it if you didn't hold back, I said, placing my clenched fist under my chin, and she nodded quietly. Understood. Sunshine Real Estate's performance has sharply declined over the past year and a half. While other subsidiaries and franchises have had fluctuations, none have experienced such a steep drop. That's right. In fact, Sunshine Real Estate has been a concern for a long time. Although the CEO was replaced 6 months ago, there has been no improvement. In fact, the situation continues to worsen. To be frank, bankruptcy is imminent. I asked Linda a follow-up question. So, what would you do going forward? She responded decisively. If it were up to me, I would restructure the company. It seems we have reached that point. We've given them numerous warnings and made efforts to facilitate their performance improvement. I cede that's a reasonable opinion. But Sunshine Real Estate's new CEO has only been in place for 6 months. Don't you think it's too soon? No, not at all. Thomas, the current CEO of Sunshine Real Estate, has been the number 2 for a long time. He must have seen the decline firsthand and has likely visited the site since becoming CEO. She was remarkably clear-headed in her analysis. That makes a lot of sense. And during this time, he should have identified areas for improvement and honed his management skills. But if that's the case, why did the performance continue to decline under the former CEO? He could have made various suggestions to the former CEO. There are several possible reasons for that. It might seem contradictory, but he might not have found clear solutions. Or, even if he did, he might not have been able to implement them effectively. Linda paused, but given her analytical nature, she likely had a more advanced insight. What else? I have a feeling our opinions might align. It's a bit hard to say, but could it be that the current CEO was waiting for the previous CEO to fall, so that he could improve performance once he took over? Yes, that's quite possible. In fact, the current CEO is an old classmate of mine, though he probably doesn't know that. When I said this casually, she looked surprised, and then her voice softened. Really? I had no idea. I must have said something very rude. No, Linda, you misunderstood. He and I are not friends. We just have a bit of history. I met him again recently, and he is definitely not CEO material. I see. Thank you for your honest opinion today. I appreciate it. Relieved by my words, Linda quickly regained her composure. I'm glad I could help. If you'll excuse me, she said, thanking me, stood up from the sofa, and left the CEO's office. Hearing Linda's opinion reinforced my decision to restructure Sunshine Real Estate. We've given them ample time and tried to improve their performance, so there's no point in waiting any longer. With someone like Thomas as CEO, Sunshine Real Estate has no future. Moreover, there are no other suitable candidates, so bankruptcy is the best option at this point. As for the employees of Sunshine Real Estate, we'll try to take care of them within the group, but I'll give them a 1-month grace period. If there's no improvement, I'll take decisive action. Having made up my mind, I called Sunshine Real Estate and asked to be connected to Thomas. Is this President Thomas? This is Justin from North Real Estate. Yes, this is Thomas. It's an honor to hear from you directly, President Justin. I could sense the nervousness in Thomas's voice, a stark contrast to the tone he used when he insulted me the other day. Clearly, he hadn't connected the high school dropout Justin Moore. He knew with the CEO of North Real Estate. Thomas, there's no need to be so formal. I just took office 3 days ago, and I'm still getting used to it. In terms of running a company, you're much more experienced than I am. Please teach me a lot. When I said this, he tried to flatter me. Not at all. It would be inappropriate for me to say such things. We always look up to North Real Estate and strive to model our business after yours. Thinking he was complimenting me, I seized on his words. Is that so? Specifically, what aspects do you use as a reference? Well, we strive for gentlemanly customer service, avoiding being too aggressive. Also, we have a personalized one-on-one sales approach. Caught off guard, Thomas responded with generic statements, trying to dodge my question. I see. Have you implemented this across all your offices and salespeople? Yes, of course. Are you sure you're not just assigning a representative to the customers and then neglecting them? He was clearly startled by this question and immediately denied it. No, absolutely not. According to the data, Sunshine Real Estate often enters into general brokerage agreements with sellers to advance transactions more favorably. You should be striving for exclusive or semi-exclusive agreements. You're right. However, we often find ourselves competing with other companies. He trailed off, unable to continue. I decided to be direct with him. And ultimately, you end up losing customers to other companies, right? No, that's not the case, he replied, trying to maintain his bravado. I told him about Sunshine Real Estate's new mission, but from what you've said, that's the implication. Please improve this by the end of the month. Also, make every effort to quickly sell the properties of your current clients. Yes, I understand. However, even with such urgent requests, I'm not sure we can meet your expectations. Thomas's weak voice came through the phone. We understand that very well. However, we want to know the potential of Sunshine Real Estate. Why do you need to know that? After hearing his suspicious tone, I replied firmly. Because the future existence of Sunshine Real Estate depends on the results. As soon as I said that, he seemed shocked and quickly asked, "Wait a minute, what do you mean by that? If the results are bad, Sunshine Real Estate will be dissolved. We'll handle the details, so don't worry." No, President Justin, that's not what I meant. Are you concerned about the employees? If so, we will assist them in finding jobs within our group companies, so you can rest assured. At this point, Thomas, sounding defeated, revealed his true concern. Wait, what about me? Well, if Sunshine Real Estate goes bankrupt, you will have to leave the company. What? Is that even possible? His fearful tone evoked some sympathy, but this was business. Thomas, I understand this might be a shock, but this decision is based on your poor performance over the past few years. We have given you many chances. Yes, I understand, but... Thomas seemed to want to say something, but I cut him off. Just give it your all for this month. I won't accept excuses. Show me through your actions and results. Also, send me weekly progress reports. This has been a lengthy conversation, but I'll end it here. Wait, President Justin. I didn't respond to his panicked call and quietly hung up the phone. By the third week of the month, the progress reports indicated that Sunshine Real Estate's performance was still poor. Although it's possible to secure many contracts at the end of the month, the trend hasn't changed much from previous months. Unless a miracle happens, it seems unlikely that the performance will improve. At the end of the month, I received the final results, and as expected, they were dismal. Despite all the pressure, not only did their performance not improve, it actually worsened. With these numbers, it's impossible to continue business as usual. Disappointed, I picked up the receiver and called for Thomas at Sunshine Real Estate. Thomas, please come to North Real Estate this afternoon. Yes, I understand, President Justin. About this situation, we'll discuss that later. A little after 1:00 p.m., I was informed that Thomas had arrived. I told them to come to the CEO's office immediately. After a moment, there was a knock on the door. The door opened, and Thomas entered with his subordinate. She said thank you, stood up from the sofa, and left the CEO's office. Thomas sat on the sofa with his head down. When he finally looked up, his eyes widened in shock. We're meeting for the first time, I'm Justin Moore. What? Wait a minute. You're the CEO of North Real Estate. Yes, that's correct. Is something the matter? I'm sorry, may I ask, are you Justin Moe? Thomas's face flushed with irritation. That's right. Is there something on your mind? Ha, what does this mean? Are you the Justin Moore from our class? Yes, I'm the same person you met at the reunion. However, this is our first meeting as CEOs, and you won't be meeting me as just a classmate ever again. As soon as I said that, he shouted, "Stop with the roundabout answers. This is a joke, right? There's no way you're the CEO of North Real Estate, Justin. What kind of joke is this?" Thomas's sudden outburst prompted his subordinate to intervene. What's wrong? You can't speak to President Justin like that. Shut up, Joseph. This guy might be a classmate, but he's a high school dropout. He's a disgrace. Joseph, looking down, spoke weakly. Even if that's true, this isn't the place to. Shut up. Hey, Justin, is this some kind of prank? Were you hired just for this? If so, North Real Estate has terrible taste. I warned Thomas as he started to joke around. Thomas, can you afford to badmouth North Real Estate like that? Even if I were a fake CEO, someone from North Real Estate might be listening to you right now. Don't try to bluff. Despite his bravado, Thomas glanced around nervously. I'm just joking. There are no surveillance cameras or bugs because I'm the CEO here, and my eyes and ears are all that matter. Is that true? So all of this was your doing? You were testing me. This is just a grudge against me. You're giving yourself too much credit. I don't have enough interest in you to hold a personal grudge. This is purely a matter of numbers. We're restructuring a company that isn't performing. That's all there is to it. Don't try to act cool, you pretentious jerk. I can't let someone like him remain as CEO. I told him the additional criteria for evaluation. It's not just about the numbers. Your character is also a factor. My character? You don't even know how I work. Oh, I see. It started at the reunion. You've been watching me since then. You're a really sneaky guy. I was just happy to see an old classmate. I thought maybe you'd mellowed out after 20 years, but you proved me wrong. Keeping someone like you as a CEO is the height of foolishness. Reflecting on the previous incident, I said this, and Thomas's attitude suddenly changed as he started making excuses. Come on, private life and work are different. Maybe I went too far that day, but I was drunk and don't remember much. Let's forget about it, okay? For old time's sake. You really are shameless. That's impossible. Come on, you know how hard it is to become a CEO, especially since you only have a middle school diploma. Have some sympathy for me. Thomas's sudden change in behavior was infuriating and exasperating. The manager couldn't understand Thomas's thought process, as he kept shifting his actions like a chameleon. The manager found this behavior disgusting and announced that Sunshine Real Estate would be closed down next month, and that Thomas was fired. Thomas reacted angrily to this decision. Joseph, who seemed anxious, asked about the fate of the other employees. The manager reassured him that they would find new positions for the staff, considering their past performance. Thomas then lashed out at Joseph, demanding that he should beg for the CEO's sake until the end, rather than just trying to save himself. Joseph said he was powerless since the president had made the decision. The manager then criticized Thomas's way of threatening his subordinates, stating that this was why he couldn't let Thomas remain as the CEO. Seeing Joseph's situation, the manager realized they needed to free the Sunshine Real Estate employees from Thomas's leadership as soon as possible. Thomas, disregarding his position, requested 1 more month to prove himself, promising to accept the decision if he failed. However, the manager rejected this, stating that Thomas was supposed to deliver results this time. The new CEO dismissed Thomas's complaints about his lack of improvement in qualifications, stating that education does not matter in the real world. The decision to restructure the company and terminate Thomas's employment was made with the approval of higher-ups and cannot be changed. Thomas became enraged and attempted to physically confront the CEO, but was interrupted by the opening of the office door and a woman's voice. Linda stood with 2 security guards beside her. Joseph told the guards to take Justin Thomas away after he tried to attack. Thomas was angry and demanded to speak more, but the guards firmly escorted him out. The following month, the company declared bankruptcy and terminated Thomas, removing his management role. When Thomas tried to enter the company again, security stopped him at the entrance as the CEO watched calmly from the office. Thomas decided to take legal action against North Real Estate, but he reconsidered when he learned about the high costs involved. His lawyer later informed him that he had little chance of prevailing in the lawsuit. After leaving his previous job as a CEO, Thomas decided to start his own real estate company. However, without a well-known brand, he struggled to hire employees and his company soon went bankrupt within a year. He then found a delivery job, but faced difficulties with his bosses and customers. Even younger colleagues looked down on him, making him feel like a failure. Despite his efforts to pay off his debts, they continued to grow without any end in sight. In contrast, the employees of Sunshine Real Estate were assessed and helped to find positions in other companies within the group, where they could potentially succeed better due to the company's better track records, training programs, and sales approaches. I will keep assisting them however I can. This experience as the CEO of North Real Estate has given me a more comprehensive understanding of the organization. When I expressed my gratitude to Linda again, she humbly stated that she was merely fulfilling her duties. With her composed and earnest disposition, she will remain a valuable asset to me and the company. Going forward, my goal is to focus on maximizing overall profits while appreciating each employee and working towards becoming the industry's top-ranking company.